Hi, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Um, I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. I definitely did. We spent a lot of time with my husband's family, so I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. So, as you can see, this is um, recorded right after Thanksgiving. I want to say it's the 3rd. So, the 3rd of December, we are bringing 2024 to a close. So 2024 for me was just magical. Okay, it was just nice. It was cool. It was a lot of lessons from start to finish, from marriage to moving to work changes and promotions and so many things that I could, I'm sure in 2020, probably from like 2021 to 2020, maybe even 2020, I probably had some of the goals that I accomplished this year and last year on my list. So I'm truly, truly grateful for that. And one huge goal is starting my YouTube. Um, Actually, just a little backstory. I didn't know. I don't know. I didn't know how to start. I didn't know what I was anxious about starting with. And I think the easiest thing for me to do um, in this space is kind of just talk about things as I feel them. So I don't feel like it's natural for me to get on here and start discussing things without, because I feel like I have like this elephant in the room of I've been trying to get on here for a long time. But yeah, so basically it's been a journey, and I'm sure when everybody starts their YouTube, TikTok, there's so many things that you can start, and we're so blessed to have so many things that we can start. There's a lot of questions that come up with yourself, like, am I good enough, like what am I going to talk about, and like how am I going to be talking to myself. I could spend, no lie, 6 hours on the phone with my friends, and we're just like talking and hanging out and everything like that. And yeah, I could spend that amount of time with them, and then I get on here and I'm like, I don't know what to say. But yeah, I'm sure everybody has their thing. And I think YouTube for me is a comfort zone. I feel like I could be in my box, I could be in my niche, I can attract my niche. I'm not a social media girl. I'm not, I really have to make an effort to get excited about likes and subscribing and just like the marketing aspect of it. So this is going to be our little safe space for me in the beginning, and I'm just excited for whoever watches this initially to see the growth based off of this conversation, which was why I wanted to come on here really straightforward. But I do have like a lot of cool things to discuss. This channel is going to be about um, growth, life, kind of the folding of it all and putting it all together where you can see how to navigate. Sometimes I truly like to say life is a game. So, a cool game, but it also could be whatever kind of game that you anticipate it to be. So, I just want to talk about from the root till now, like all things from your childhood, from my childhood, all the way up until now, how they affect us, how we can really cultivate a space that works well for us because that is what we are intended to do. The small obstacles that are mostly not tangible that get us caught up and hold us back from doing the things that we truly need to do or would like to do or want to do. So I just want to unfold it all with you all, and I really want to see. I don't know where it'll go, but I'm excited to see where it takes us. So I am a discipline and mental mapping coach. I should say that too. So My clients will come to me for, say, you any type of disciplines. Say you want to eat healthy, or you want to stop certain negative thoughts, or you want to do, all that, anything that you want to kind of create differently in your space and your routine. We go over that. And when I say eat healthy, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a health coach at all. I'm simply a discipline coach, meaning I can give you the tools in order for you to succeed and build your discipline for your goal. And then the mental mapping is when we go really in detail, and I will almost say it goes hand in hand, because once you start digging into those things that you feel you need a little bit more discipline in, and you're trying to like come up with strategies and execute the strategies in order to do these things, you kind of lead into the mental mapping, at least with me, because I can't help but go deep. Like, I can't help but go deep. It's in me. I've owned it. It is what it is. My husband always, he's like, there she goes doing that thing again. I don't know any other way. So say you come and you're like, hey, I just want to learn how to really have a shared space with my partner and my kids. I don't want to be cleaning up after them anymore. I don't want to not be able to voice my opinion. I don't want to lash out when I feel like I've voiced my opinion. So I can help you with that discipline, and we can create a strategy for that discipline. However, it's going to lead into the mental mapping, because there's something mentally from past, present, maybe even future thoughts that is driving the behaviors that you are trying to change. It's between you and you. So it's not going to be a situation where it's like, oh, well, if he did this or if they did this differently, I'm going to say to you, well, let's keep it in our control center, which is what it's between, you and you. So what in this function can we shift and change? And everyone else, that we're leaving them slightly to the side. So it does go into a lot of depth, and there's a lot of emotions that come out. There's a lot of beautiful, amazing things. There's a lot of learning. There's a lot of learning about yourself and about learning about others that comes out. So it's truly, truly rewarding, and I would love to bridge a channel and the coaching to go kind of hand in hand, even to be a supplement, or even if you're like, I don't really want to like get a coach or purchase or whatever, a coach or whatever, that's fine. I don't want to limit what my gifts are. So here we are. So one of the topics that I was thinking about today, I have so many topics, but one of the topics that I was thinking about today is bringing in wisdom versus the past. I so much want to dive in on this. It has so many parts, but it also is like the foundation of, I live in America. So I feel like it's a foundation of American culture to accidentally bring in past versus wisdom. And sometimes, and you'll learn this about me, I'm an analogy girl. So sometimes bringing in the past versus wisdom could look like how we pay for insurance, how we pay for car insurance. Let's say car insurance. You pay 100, 200, whatever you pay for your car insurance, right? And you've been paying it for 10 years and you haven't gotten in a car accident for 10 years, and this money isn't going anywhere other than to the car insurance gods. It's anticipating an action to happen versus being mindful of, oh yes, when you have an accident, you can just set aside your money. You don't need to put into this whole scheme. I'm not discouraging car insurance. I'm just saying that it's an example of misallocating um, actions in order to get what you want. So anticipating negative things as a safety versus and not realizing that you are just creating more of that in your anticipation. You're creating more of that in your space. You're creating more stress. You're creating more anxiety. But in your mind, and in so many of our minds, it feels like, well, I know this, it's that fear. It's like, I know this bad thing happened to me, so your subconscious is like, hey, what if this happens again? Hey, what if this happens again? What if this happens again? And you're functioning off of that. And so when you do that, there's a lot of extra moves, thoughts, and actions that you have that are unnecessary and not getting you to your goal. So really paying attention, you still want to bring in that wisdom. So even in the dating is a good example of it. Okay, you're dating, your exes cheated on you, or one was broke and one was this. So now, but you've been single for a while, you're ready to jump back out there, and your first thoughts are, I don't want cheating, financially irresponsible, living at home with his mom. Immediately starting off kind of rough. We are meant to experience things in that present moment and let them go. That, you take the wisdom, but you don't operate in the same, you can't function within the bad thing that happened. Truly, you're supposed to be profiting off of it. It should be a profit for you, as far as, okay, you dated these types. Remember, I said going from you versus you. So you dated these types of people. What were you doing then? What were you experiencing? How did you think about things? What was something, were you going, what types of places were you involved in? How were you presenting yourself, and what were your standards? And when you come back to self and you really check in and ask those questions, as far as, what was I doing that I'm not doing now, or I could stop doing, or could change in order for me to attract the things that I would like, versus let me go out here and make sure I remember all the things that happened to me that I didn't like, and let me, put them on the forefront so they don't happen to me again. So, I personally remember, obviously before getting with my husband, like, meeting him was very, well, re-meeting him was very interesting. It was such a huge moment, because by that time I had spent time with myself. I wasn't dating anyone. I was hanging out with girlfriends. I was going out and going to brunch and spending time with myself. I had a apartment in the city. I was just doing my own thing, and I was just pouring into me and really understanding me slowly but surely. And by the time my husband came along, it was so clear his energy and who he was and how he presented to me was exactly the things that I was working on individually. So it was like, oh wow, it was like a big wow moment for me, like, oh, like, now that I'm embodying the things that I like, he was a huge example of that coming in. So um it was like a true whirlwind, versus before, you don't realize you're in a constant pattern of anticipating negative things, and then your standards get lower, and all these things can be subconscious and conscious, which means they could happen accidentally or intentionally, depending on which presence you're in, honestly. So if it gets to subconscious, and you're just operating and you're just used to accepting a standard, and you haven't even tasted the other standards. So that was a big, it's like, I think it was a fear of mine, and like, how do I anticipate something that I haven't had and haven't tasted before? I think a lot of my spirituality and everything came in with that. But and the practical use is, just if you see it, if you want it, you know a little bit about it. So if you want it, go ahead and embody it. What type of person are you? And what if you could be, like me and my friends say, if you were sitting in your seat, and sitting in your seat means kind of like a bird's eye view. You're looking from up here down at yourself, at your surroundings, at all who's around you, and you are making moves from there. So when you sit there, you could almost look at it like being a puppeteer. Like, what moves should be made from here? Now that you can see everything going on, what does this person look like? What does this person do? What are some things that you get irritated about with yourself that you consistently do? And maybe it's drinking and partying too much. Maybe it's you're not clean. Maybe it's and all this is relevant to you. Things that you're like, I'm so tired of being this way. Those things are going to add up, and those things are going to sometimes attract, energies you might not want. And so when you bring in the past wisdom, certain things, okay, that lesson was done, going back to that, that lesson was done. I did experience that. I used to be that. That's another big one. I used to be that. I recently had an experience where I was not the greatest, I shouldn't say it now, but I was not the greatest communicator for all through my teens and 20s. I was not a great communicator, and it was a lot of avoidant behavior, which we'll get into when we have an episode about my past. But it was a lot of avoidant behavior, and I didn't like it. However, I didn't know where it was coming from. So I would get very frustrated that I couldn't change it, and people would be frustrated with me as well. And I couldn't even give them an answer to why I couldn't change it until I really dig deep into, okay, the first step is you're not answering your friends in a timely manner. You're not speaking. You're going off grid. Then you dig a little deeper. Okay, this is kind of avoidant behavior. Then you start to ask yourself questions. Why am I being avoidant? Then you kind of get that answer. And then you're like, okay, what spaces? And I am a big believer, everything is going to happen in your childhood. Look at your childhood first. Look at your parents first. That's your groundwork. That is literally what shapes most things. So, and how you perceive a lot of things. Okay, so what type of experiences did I have when I was a child that made me want to be in an avoidant space? Like, what was I avoiding? And then you just answer a question. You go down the rabbit hole of self, and once you get to a certain point, you can fix it from that root. I believe everything has to be fixed from the root for it to stick, and it takes time to be fixed from the root. So you give yourself grace, and there's a lot of tools and things that I will talk about in this channel over time. But yeah, you kind of unravel yourself, and then once you unravel yourself, you can make new moves. Now that you've rooted out the initial thing, you're taking the wisdom from your past, and in doing that, taking that wisdom from your past, remembering that it's you against you, it's no one else, it's literally you against you. Coming from that space, now you're really taking your power back, and now you're starting to see it in your physical reality. And that's kind of how it is. So just really, and I'll probably go into a part two about it, but really taking that wisdom versus taking your past. Taking your past can look like lots of people in you probably have a lot of people in your life that, or you could see a lot of people, friends, family, people at the grocery store that are operating in certain expectations. You see even a lot with like racism. I do feel like part of racism and or part of part of it can be due to people living in the past and not taking the wisdom from the past, and sometimes we can inflict certain restrictions on ourselves by doing that. So another story for another day. But yeah, I believe that you probably can go out. Everybody has that aunt, like maybe she's, has everything together. Maybe she's financially set, but she's always single because she always preaches, you don't need no man to come in here and do this, that, and the third. And it's not necessarily about having a man or not having a man. Da, da, da. It's about somebody operating off of some past experience that they've had to the point where they have now decided being a big word, they have now decided this is law in their world, and they are operating around that, which restricts them from any future possibilities. So join me. I mean, I'm very excited about starting this channel. I know this episode is a little bit all over the place, but give me some time. Let me learn how I want to flow. I want to be upfront with everything for now. Like, let me learn how I want to flow. I might just share how I'm feeling more, probably a little less later on. But just as I get my groove of what I would like to talk about, I also encourage you to drop in the comments what you would like to hear me talk about, and what experiences you would like me to share. And I also will be coming out with a episode just telling you a little bit about myself, where I come from, some experiences I've had that shaped me, and some experiences that I had that I truly believe were meant to be shared in order to help others. So thanks, guys. Bye.